Okay, now we're going to cover how you can get clients through Instagram. And like I'm saying with all of these for social media, is if you talk to other people and experts on social media strategies, they'll give you a wide range of answers. So I can only speak to things that I actually do and things that have worked for me, and hope that some of them work for you as well too. So I'll kind of go through what works for me on Instagram, and then actually I'll tell you how I became on my journey to becoming a paid social media influencer on Instagram. Then that whole story behind it, and if I can find the video that I got paid to promote, I will try to find that as well and post it too. But I would say I've actually had, I've been talking about like organic. So if you're just starting out your tarot reading business and you want to try to get clients, I would say of all the techniques I've shown you, I think YouTube has the most potential long term. I think Facebook makes it hard if you do without paid ads, other than the tricks. I think I've had the most success on Instagram doing organic posting and attracting paid clients. So that's why we'll kind of go through some of the tips and tricks that I use to do that and some examples and so forth. So let's see, why is this not advancing? There we go. All right, so I would say the most practical advice that I can give you that I still use every single time that I post is if you're going to post and you're going to use hashtags. The most other social media influencers who taught me how to become a social media influencer showed me how to use lead tags. So I would highly recommend the app Lead Tags, which is the most efficient way, either free or paid. I've used both. To find the best hashtags to use, because you can go in and you can do any post you want and say tarot readings, my new tarot business, and I know tarot readers of Instagram is super popular, and go through. But what this will do is lead tags will do is, I'm sure there are many other apps, maybe you've seen or heard of some other of these, it will give you the most popular and highest audience hashtags for every single whatever the topic is. So in this case, you can use one keyword or you can do multiple. So you can do travel, beach, and friends, and it'll pull out of those three words what are the most popular of beach, what are the most popular of friends, and if you say, give me only 25 or 30, the limit I think is 30. I always used to do 25 hashtags. If you say, I want to do 30 hashtags, and of these three keywords, give me the most popular 30, and it looks like, there's 13,000 people searching for them, and there's been 174 million views on these hashtags. So that'll give you an idea of what are the most popular ones. So you could go in and you could type in tarot readings, whatever the case might be, find tarot clients, I have no idea. But you can go into that and use that for lead tags, and it'll give you automatically. And what's great about the app is you just hit one button, you say copy, you go back to Instagram and you paste it with your post, and then you can do that all day or whatever you do all the time. And then I will show you why this is so powerful to do it, because if you don't have a huge following on Instagram, again, you can do organic posting, and if you have certain followers or people who know you, if it's your personal Instagram page and say I'm now doing tarot readings, you can give, to break down know, like, and trust, you could do examples in your stories or post some videos of your readings and say if you'd like to my services, see the link in my bio, wherever the case may be. But again, to go from, and you should do that first. So for all of these, you should always tap into your network of friends and acquaintances who might be interested now knowing that you have a tarot business, and maybe they'll make some referrals because they're the most likely to know, like, and trust you and then try your services. I'd say the most closest into you may not want to, because they may not want, in you and their private businesses. But once you want to go beyond that and say, I want to actually reach strangers, how do I find strangers who might be interested in me to use my tarot readings and become a repeating client, right? And so for one of the ones, I'd say lead tags is the most useful to do that, because if your post is good, then it goes into the hashtags, gets seen, and here's some examples. So on an account, we'll talk about, you may not have this many followers, depending on how long you've been on Instagram or how hard you've been working it. But on a post with an account with 18,000 people, we were able to have 35,000 impressions, reach 29,000 people. The most interesting part of that is, of the 29,000 people, to get that many impressions, 25,000 of them came from the hashtags by using this lead tags. Now that's not always going to work because the way the Instagram algorithm works, if you post certain times of the day and people start to like and comment on yours and you get a buzz around your posts, then it'll kind of take off and reach more people. If you post 3 a.m. in the middle of the night and it's a super boring post, then it's not going to get that far. But if in this case, what's interesting is it tells you of those 29,000 people reached, 73% were not following you. So, and 25 of that's really mostly coming from the hashtags. So for certain posts, you can reach lots of, call them strangers, and strangers are interested in the same hashtags by using this lead tags app. Now you can go in and do your own work on hashtags you think are interesting, but this is an app that'll just find them for you, tell you what the most popular ones, and with a quick button you just copy and paste them. And I've used it, and as far as all the social media influencers that I've kind of worked with in my circle, they all highly recommend this app. And I think it's only a handful of dollars to pay for it, because so obviously they give you, the free version gives you the most popular hashtags of all time. So for tarot, it may be tarot reading, tarot readers, whatever the case may be. I think if you pay, you get the more dynamic ones. So it might be like, only in certain parts of the year would Christmas tarot readings, or Valentine's Day coming up, say Valentine's Day relationship hashtags. That might be a very useful and very popular hashtag for a short period of time within a month, or with a specific week, or maybe for the entire year. But if you know that, you can catch that trend and ride the wave. But I think the free version just gives you, for the whole year's worth, what are generally the most popular hashtags. So you may miss some of those special holidays or events or things that may pop here and there every now and again. So I'd say that's the most useful thing, I'd say helpful thing that you can do. I will kind of go through a second strategy that people do, which you may be familiar with, but I think it's the perfect setup for explaining how I became a paid social media influencer on Instagram a couple years ago. So let's say, it's called the follow-unfollow technique. So again, a lot of the things I show you and teach you, there's this gray area of things that may annoy people who use the platforms broadly, but are actually effective tools to grow audiences or reach new people. So it's always this fine line of, do you use them, how much do you use them without annoying people? But from a business standpoint, there are business people who will say, if the return is financial and it's a business Instagram account that I don't really care about, it's not my personal one, I'm not upsetting my friends and family, they will follow these. I'm sure some of you are very familiar with this. The follow-unfollow technique would be you find some people who you can have posted hashtag tarot or whatever the case may be, or who have commented and liked on one of your posts that may not follow you. The technique is you go and you follow them. So Instagram has limits on 40 people an hour, so many people a day that you can follow at a certain time. What they would do is find people they think are in the right audience, or you could go to a hashtag and see who has commented or liked on other tarot readings or other tarot posts. And obviously if people are commenting, oh, I love tarot, I wish I had a tarot reading, it may be someone you want to follow because they might be interested in learning about your tarot offerings. But what you do is you go and you follow, let's say, 10 people, right? Likely, vast majority of them won't follow you back because they may not know you, they may not get the notification. Even if they get the notification, they may not care about your services. But the theory of this one would be is, as long as some of them follow you back, call it 1 in 10 follows you back, you've gained your audience. Your audience has gotten a little bit bigger. And then you can just follow this technique, and if you're very patient, you can use it for long periods of time. And I'm sure some of you have done it for short periods of time and given up. But you can grow your audience, and then eventually you reach the max amount of people that you can follow at a time, which is about 7,500. So if you want to grow your account ever beyond 7,500, you have to have people follow you that you do not follow back, if that makes sense. Now, if you're a celebrity or a public figure, that makes sense. There are people who want to follow the celebrity, and the celebrity can't follow everybody back. But this is where the trust can break down between people, is if you follow 7,500 people and they all follow you back, if you want to gain your audience beyond that, you have to unfollow some of them to free up space to follow more people, if that makes sense. And I know if you've tried this, we're getting into the weeds, but I'll show you why it becomes super important to some of the techniques that I've done. Some people get annoyed because they say, wait a minute, you followed me back and I thought you were going to like my content and comment on it and maybe check out my own tarot services, but instead you just waited a few days or a month and then you unfollowed me, and now I feel like you've broken some trust because I followed you and I'm the sucker still following you and you're not following me back, right? This reciprocity thing. So obviously don't break karma or treat people fairly in this case, whatever the case may be. But that is a technique that lots of people use and we have used effectively to grow their audiences. And I'll show you the technique that I used. So in April of 2018, I have two friends within my circle. They are travel influencers who have some of those fancy travel pages that you see where it's like, hey, we're digital nomads and we run our own internet business and we just travel the world, and this week we're in Fiji. Where do you guys think we should go next week? Should we go to Australia? Should we go to Europe? And people get so jealous and all that kind of stuff. So they follow these people and they want to live that lifestyle, and then these people then sell them their services of how you can learn to run your own businesses remotely, so that you can hopefully travel the world if you want to too. So this couple, they met in Australia, they started learning how to do this, and then they are now travel influencers, and they taught me how to do this, and it is with automated bots. So within a year, I grew my Instagram social media following by over 100,000 followers, and I'll take you through a little bit of how I did that here. So it's with a software that's called Jarvee. So what it does is it takes that, and that's why I belabored my points on the follow-unfollow system and some of the rules. It actually takes that and it automates it. And there are other apps and stuff like that I'm sure you've seen. I'm sure you've gotten spam messages from people who want you to do that with them. If they DM you and say, here's my service or my software to gain tons and tons of followers. I gained 1,000 followers in a week or whatever. But Jarvee was the most effective one. And I can mention it because it has been kind of shut down because as it got close to the election, so I did this for a year, and then Jarvee got completely shut down by Instagram because this is the same techniques that foreign companies and countries were using to influence elections and so forth. So in this one, what you can see what I did is within that year, once I learned about it in April of 2018, I started following the techniques of what they were doing, and you can see here I grew over 100, almost 25,000 followers within a year across multiple accounts because it becomes more efficient as you scale accounts. So I have an Instagram account for mindfulness, one for astrology, one for numerology, one for tarot card reading, and all that kind of stuff. And you can see how it grew by month. So I gained up towards 20,000 new followers every single month, and you stack that on month over month, and that's how you can see I can quickly grow. And then this whole activity got shut down. But the method, the way it worked was to automate the process we just talked about, where I would get the bot or the computer software program to follow 700 people a day per account, and I ended up getting up to 23 accounts. And then you try, as I mentioned, you follow 10 people, you hope one or two follow you back, whatever the case may be. At least 5% follow back. My rate was just under 8% follow me back. I had some accounts that were as high as 12% following me back. So that's, you can roughly get to 1,000 followers per month per account. And so this is the technique that I used to grow my following. So now once you have the following, you can organically post to them and then have them maybe learn about your tarot services or your own tarot readings and do it that way. So this software doesn't currently work, so you'd have to find other ones that are out there that that may work or have gotten around or aren't as on the radar. But this was the most efficient one. So I had my own server in the cloud running this, but not behind the scenes every day, following literally over to do this a 7% follow back rate. It's over 1 million people. So I followed over 1 million people on Instagram to get 100,000 to follow me back. Okay, so now you're probably saying, okay, how do I, if I don't have the opportunity to automate my follow and unfollow to grow my audience? You've showed me lead tags, which show me how to reach the most efficient hashtags. But if I can't use, and I can do manual follow and follow, but that could take a long time. and I can't use the automated ones since they got shut down, what are the ways that I could try to use Instagram and organic posting to grow my tarot business. And so the next section, I'll kind of show you some of my more successful types of posts on Instagram, so you can either copy them or modify them to your needs and your businesses and so forth. And here's the first one. I would say this is the one that I would use for a story. It just blatantly says tarot readings, 3-card readings. So again, in the know, like, trust, try, buy, this would be trying to gear people towards the try. So a 3-card reading, again, like covered in that section, is kind of like dating, where you for small investment or short amount of your time, you can then get to know them, see if they get to know your reading styles, and if they want to become a repeat loyal customer, pretty quickly they'll be able to get that vibe, because just trusting by doing the videos and doing know, like, and trust, that if they resonate with you and they want to be a repeat client, that's going to happen. But the most important point I want to make in this is you should always post even the same post reformatted in your stories and then your Instagram posts at the same time, because studies have shown that those audiences are not the same. There are some people who follow you who only look at people's stories to see what kind of videos or what's going on, then they go about their own business. And there are some people who will use hashtags or whatever and find your regular posts, the square kind of posts. So some people make the mistake of only posting to one audience or the other, but you should always repeat your posts into your stories and stories into your posts. That way you can constantly gain more reach within your own audience and you can attract more people. The other thing I would say is a lot of people don't do is, when you use a hashtag app like Lead Tags, make sure you use the hashtags in your stories as well too. I don't know if they're as effective in the reach standpoint, but the way you do that is like this kind of post here, is you would then go in and paste text, just like you're doing any kind of text here on any regular stories, and you paste the 25, 30 hashtags. Once they're created, you then do these 2 tricks that lots of people do. 1, you shrink it as small as you can, that list, and 2, you make it the same color as the background. So in this case, for this post, I would probably go into the dark blue over here, or part of his coat where it gets more confusing, and I would make the text of my hashtags blue to match the background, and then you just hide them somewhere in the image so people can't see them. But then it may give some more opportunities for your stories to show up organically in other searches or other hashtags for tarot readings as well too. So hashtags are not only relevant towards the traditional Instagram posts, but also in your stories as well. And I think a lot of people don't think to do that, or limit themselves to the number of hashtags, thinking that they don't want to clutter up their stories, when in reality you can hide them. So as long as they're there, they still work. So what lots of the influencers do is they will hide them in the background and shrink them and match the same color as whatever background image you're doing so that they show. The next type of style, one that I would say is when you have your business, obviously you should be more professional so people can trust you and then get to know you and so forth. But then as you do it and move forward, don't always take yourself too seriously, because there is some research out there that's to people, you can't have that kind of distance. People still need to feel like they connect with you, feel like you're a real person. So if you blend your personal page and your tarot page, you can show some pictures of you traveling or your family or whatever the case may be, and they'll get to know you more. But for that one, I would say also, don't take yourself too seriously. So this is also an image that I stole off the internet somewhere. This is my absolutely #1 most liked image ever shared on Instagram, and it helps me get lots of organic reach. So I'll post this one every once in a while, and then I'll say, hey, who's up for a relationship reading, or the cards are looking right for relationship reading. Click the link in my bio if you'd like to have one. And then people always either share it with friends or like and comment on it, because it kind of makes fun of tarot, saying instead of you're going to give them a reading where you're an expert, the cards just kind of read out, dump him right away, right? So that's a way that you can still connect with people on something that's popular, trendy, and funny and humorous, and then also still support your goal of attracting clients and services while not taking yourself too seriously, so they feel like you're a real person and they can feel more know, like, and trust with you because you're an actual human being and not just, some business who's selling to people. And the third one here, this style here, this is obviously, I did it for astrology, but it works for tarot too, is the us versus them. So there is a whole technique we won't have time to go into, which is on the whole other courses, called NLP, or Neuro-Linguistical Programming, which is what anyone who takes sales training goes through, or anyone who wants to be an infomercial, or sell you a home, or sell you a car, goes through to figure out what is the language and the keywords they need to use in order to motivate you to do what you want, which may be buy a car, buy a house, whatever the case may be. And one of the techniques that they list in NLP training is this idea of us versus them, right? So if someone is a stranger and they're not sure if they want to do tarot readings with them, if you have points of connections, and that's why it says, hey, and then, this one says, instead of what's your sign, them, the us is people who know enough about your astrology and your signs to know that there isn't just one sign, and many are important. Your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. It creates this connection where if people look at this image and say, yes, I'm that type of person too. I am someone who would not just only know my sun sign or want to entertain discussions of people who only want to go in sun sign. I like astrology more, than I know more about it. And then you say, but if this person posting it also likes that as well, then we have a connection, and that's where you become the us. So if you and the person you don't know or doesn't know you can create some way for them to become you to become an us, versus, and then obviously there's common setup of us versus them, and say, in the case of tarot, I'd say there are people who think going and talking to their best friend or the friends at the gym might be the best way to get advice on a relationship. That may work, but obviously these people may be biased towards you and not give you honest feedback that you need to know. Whereas if you are like me and you know that tarot can give you unbiased, unfiltered advice on how the force is acting on the situation, wouldn't that be a more valuable approach for you to do to figure out what to do with this relationship, rather than asking your friend, who is obviously going to be biased and potentially side with you without maybe calling out some areas where you might need have some growth in order to make the relationship work. So those are a couple of examples of how you could do many different types of posts to elicit different responses. So one's just obviously I'm offering some readings. Obviously, if you do really cheap readings, I've done things for $1, because I think what you don't fully understand is it's so much harder to go from someone who was not buying from you at all to giving you any amount of money. And that's why, as we talk about in the no free reading section of the course, I'm an adamant person about, in your business, no free readings. If you need to do free readings to learn and hone your craft, absolutely go for it. But if you want to grow a tarot business, I'm anti-free reading, because it is so hard to find a pool of people who are going from not giving you money to giving you any amount of money. And once you find the pool of people who are actually know, like, and trust you enough to give you any amount of money, then it becomes more likely that they will give you even more money. It's like, okay, I know this person, I trust them. I did a small tarot card reading. Maybe they did a sale one day for $1 or $2 or $5 or $10, $20, whatever the case may be. They made a small commitment, a small gesture to get that energy exchange with you to learn whether they know, like, or trust you. And once they do, then they may become a repeated client. So that's why this isn't effective just stating the case. And obviously you can state even prices up front, so they don't have to do a click to link to go forward. So people who know readings are interested in having readings, they maybe see the prices and say, oh, that sounds like a great deal. I'll definitely do that, for this kind of savings. And then this kind of would just be a little more humorous, kind of to try to get a little more viral out of it, just to get more reach and more exposure. And then these would be the kind of create the us versus them, the NLP kind of trust with those individuals to say, hey, the person who posted this shares some thoughts or beliefs in common with me, and therefore that is someone, even though they're then promoting their tarot businesses or whatever the case may be, or their services, that is someone I am more likely to try a tarot reading with than someone who I know nothing about, or someone who I don't know if we have common views or beliefs on certain topics. So even just one saying is, instead of, if you are into superficial astrology, then maybe you and I are not compatible to be client and customer, right, or client and service provider. But if you are someone who likes to go deeper on things, and you know that there's a lot more depth towards astrology, then you might say, oh, whoever is posting this too, if they believe that too, then for their tarot services or whatever service they may provide, if they know I like to go deep on things, and it looks like they like to go deep on things, we have this connection. That's someone I'm more willing to try and spend some of my money with, because it looks like we share at least that value of wanting to go deep on topics and not just being superficial on topics. So any of those kinds of things where you could state your values or your beliefs through your posts, that's going to be another way for people to resonate with you. Obviously, if you can do video and you can see them and break down the know, like, and trust barrier that way, but if you do any of these standard static posts, any of these formats can help you to build a connection and try to break down that know, like, trust barrier, so that your organic posts can be more effective to drive clients to your businesses. So you just try your business, so then they can buy your business and become repeat customers.